If you love your penis, this video is for you. Today, we're gonna talk about 10 things you should never do to your penis. Guys, I'm a urologist, and part of my job is to take care of penises. And quite frankly, I care about penile health, and you should too.
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where you bring us the source material, articles, videos, whatever you find interesting.
And we jump in, pull out the really important bits, the key takeaways, so you get the info without all the legwork.
Exactly. Helping you get well-informed, fast.
Yeah.
And today, we're diving into a topic that, well, men maybe don't always talk about openly, but it's super important for overall health.
Penile health, yeah. And this is based on a great source. You sent us that YouTube video from a urologist.
Right. The one titled, 10 Things You Should Never Do to Your Penis. Catchy.
It is. So our job today is to unpack those 10 points, really get into the why behind the advice, and kind of connect the dots to, your broader health picture.
Yeah, it covers a lot. Basic care, safety, but also some surprising links to, like, your emotional state and lifestyle. Oh, and stick around. Point number 10 apparently has a twist.
The video hinted at that. And seriously, thanks for sharing the source. It's packed with really practical, vital info, presented very clearly.
Okay, let's get right into it then, starting with number 1, the foundational idea from the source. Don't ignore your penis.
Yeah, this really sets the whole thing up. The urologist basically argues that how it's functioning is a huge indicator, like a barometer, for your overall systemic health.
Right, that canary in the coal mine analogy they used, especially regarding ED, erectile dysfunction.
Exactly. And the stat they dropped was honestly pretty shocking. I don't think many people know this. 14% of men who start having trouble with erections.
Yeah.
They'll have a heart attack within 7 years of those ED problems starting.
Wow, 14%. Within 7 years. That really changes things. It's not just a sexual issue then.
Not at all. It hammers home that good erections, healthy desire, they mean good things are happening system-wide. Good blood flow, hormones are balanced, nervous system's working well, you're not chronically stressed, not taking harmful stuff.
So ignoring problems there could mean you're ignoring a massive warning sign for your heart or something else.
Precisely. Which leads kind of naturally into the next point, number 2. Don't DIY things for your penis.
Ah, yes, the home remedies section.
Yeah, and the urologist was really strong on this, warning against, unproven, unsafe things people try, especially for size enhancement, stuff you see in dodgy ads.
Like, what was it, pouring apple cider vinegar on it? The video called that just nonsensical.
Totally. And then there's joking, that manual stretching thing. The danger isn't maybe the idea itself, but doing it to excess.
How so?
Well, people get too aggressive, basically, causing these tiny internal fractures, injuries over time.
And that can lead to irreversible damage. Even ED, the very thing people are trying to avoid or fix.
Ironically, yes, the urologist mentioned seeing young guys actually injured from doing way too much jelqing.
Oof, okay. What else falls under dangerous DIY?
Homemade constriction bands. This was pretty scary. People using things like construction nuts or rings cut from plastic bottles.
Seriously?
Yeah, ER stories where the fire department had to come cut them off.
Oh my God, that sounds incredibly dangerous and painful.
It is. And the point is, you can buy a safe, properly designed band online for like $20, made to come off easily. It's safety first,
Yeah.
Don't mess around with homemade stuff here.
Okay, so ignoring it is bad. DIY fixes are potentially worse. What about just basic maintenance? Point 3, keep it clean, but maybe not too clean.
Right. Hygiene is obviously essential, but specifically for uncircumcised men, the key detail is you have to be able to pull the foreskin back, clean underneath, and then dry it properly.
To prevent infections, right?
Colonitis.
Exactly. And also, just being able to pull it back comfortably is important. If you can't, it could be hiding problems, even though it's very rare, penile cancer.
So difficulty retracting it is a signal to see a doctor.
Definitely.
Huh.
The source mentioned there are creams, devices, maybe circumcision sometimes, worth discussing.
And the not too clean part.
Ah, yeah. Aggressive cleaning. The skin is sensitive, so avoid harsh soaps, anything strongly scented, and don't scrub really hard.
Just gentle soap and water. Pretty much. Gentle soapy water is enough. Check for any smegma buildup if you have foreskin. Rubbing too hard can cause irritation, even tiny cuts or lacerations.
Okay, gentle does it. Now, moving to something more serious. If you do see or feel something wrong, point 4 is crucial. Don't ignore pain or other warning signs.
This is maybe the most critical point after the whole barometer of health thing. If something hurts or looks off or feels wrong, you absolutely have to see a doctor. Waiting is almost always a bad idea.
What kind of warning signs did the source mention specifically?
Okay, so pain or weird signs could point to an STI, a UTI. If you see blood in your urine, that could be kidney stones, bladder stones, or, potentially cancer bladder, or even penile cancer.
And ulcers.
Ulcers or sores that don't heal, definitely checking out. Could be penile cancer, again, rare but serious.
I can only imagine how tough it must be for guys to, go talk to a doctor about these things. It feels very vulnerable.
Oh, absolutely. The source acknowledged that, the potential embarrassment, the fear. But the message was clear. Your health has to come first. And if you feel judged by a doctor, find another one. Don't let that stop you.
The video shared that really sad story about guys ignoring ulcers, ending up with advanced penile cancer because they waited too long.
Yeah. And while penile cancer is, exceedingly rare, the doc said maybe a handful of cases in her whole career. It's described as very aggressive. Scary stuff.
Which really brings home the main point here, doesn't it? Getting things checked early means treatment is so much less drastic, much more likely to work. Ignoring it just lets it get worse.
Exactly that. Early detection is everything.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Point 5. Stay in control and be safe. This started with a cool perspective, I thought.
Yeah, the idea that safe sex is actually hotter because you can relax and be more vulnerable if you're not worried.
Totally. Makes sense. So this covers condoms, obviously, finding ones that work for you and your partner.
Experimenting, talking about it. But the main safety focus here was avoiding penile fractures.
Right. Which isn't actually a bone breaking, is it?
No bone there. It happens with very vigorous sex, usually when the erect penis gets bent hard, like hitting the pubic bone instead of going in, or pulling out fast and hitting something.
Ouch. And the source called it a surgical emergency.
Absolutely. Straight to the ER. Needs an operation to repair it. It's a tear in that tough outer layer, the tunica albuginea.
And if you don't get it fixed?
Big risk of ED later on. The source said about half of men who don't get it repaired develop problems.
Okay, so what are the signs if, God forbid, this happens?
Usually a distinct pop or cracking sound, then immediate, pretty severe pain, and then swelling. Lots of swelling and bruising, the eggplant penis look they described.
Yikes. Okay, prevention.
Main advice was just maintaining control during sex. Holding your partner's hips can help manage the speed and angle.
And lube. He made a big point about lubricant.
Oh yeah, huge point. Essential. Makes it better for everyone, safer. And it's totally normal to need it. Doesn't mean anything negative about arousal. Age, meds, menopause, genetics. Lots of reasons natural lubrication varies. Use it.
Good advice. Okay, next point, number 6, is short but important. Don't make it hot. Talking about the testicles here.
Yep. Simple biology, really. They hang outside the body because they need to be cooler than your core temperature. That's crucial for making sperm.
So things like hot tubs, jacuzzis, steam rooms, too much exposure is bad.
Can definitely affect sperm production, yeah. Might lead to fertility issues, even temporary ones. Could potentially affect testosterone too, though maybe less strongly proven than the sperm link. Basically, limit your time in that kind of wet heat if testicular health or fertility is a concern for you.
Are there heat sources to watch out for?
Laptops, use a cushion or tray if it's on your lap, they give off heat. And phones, maybe keep them in your back pocket, not the front, pressed against you. Little things, but heat adds up.
Got it. Okay, point 7 gets into something. Personal.
Yeah.
Be nice to it.
Okay.
This is about masturbation, right?
Specifically, avoiding really aggressive techniques. The source called out the death grip.
The death grip. Okay, what's the actual problem with using like a super tight grip?
Well, the issue is that intense specific pressure just isn't something a partner's body, vagina, mouth, anus can replicate.
Okay, I think I see. So the consequence is?
Your body gets used to that specific super intense feeling. It becomes habituated. Then, when you're with a partner, the stimulation is different, often less intense in that exact way.
Trouble performing.
Yeah, you might struggle to get aroused or stay hard because your body's basically waiting for a signal it's not going to get. You've conditioned yourself to something unrealistic for partnered sex.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And kind of a crucial insight. So what's the alternative?
Masturbate in ways that are more similar to partnered sex. Use lube. Focus on sensation all over, not just one intense friction point. Make it about pleasure, not shame or speed or just getting it done with that one grip.
Right. Be nice to it makes sense. Okay, point 8 kind of circles back to the beginning. Don't smoke and take care of your health.
Yeah, this was put very bluntly in the video. Smoking? 100% will kill erections and cause ED. Period.
Wow. That's
Oh,
unequivocal. No wiggle room there.
none. And they threw in another nasty smoking consequence. Bladder cancer, called it one of the worst cancers. Lots of invasive procedures, big life-changing surgeries, just awful.
So smoking is just devastating all around for that area of health.
Absolutely. And this point runs out again to the whole lifestyle thing. It's not sexy, not a quick fix, but diet, exercise, avoiding excess drugs and alcohol, it's all fundamental for penile health because it's fundamental for overall health.
And that connects back to ED being a biomarker, right?
Yeah.
For blood flow, hormones.
Exactly. Healthy diet, no smoking, less booze, regular exercise, both cardio for blood flow and weights for testosterone. It all helps maintain function.
The video even mentions starting small if it feels overwhelming, like using ideas from Atomic Habits or something. Just build good habits slowly.
Yeah. And stress, chronic stress, not just everyday hassle, but that long-term grinding stress. It takes a massive toll on everything, including sex drive and erections. Finding ways to manage that chronic stress is key for quality of life and sexual health too.
That psychological element is huge, which leads right into point 9. Be nice to yourself.
Well, this is so important. Men can be incredibly hard on themselves about this stuff, stressing about performance, how it looks, is it good enough?
And that creates a vicious cycle, doesn't it?
Totally. You have one off night, maybe for any number of reasons, then you start worrying about the next time. That anxiety itself makes it harder to get an erection, which then proves your fear was right, making you more anxious. Round and round it goes.
So what's the advice?
Normalize it. The urologist stressed this. Everyone, like everyone, has times when things don't work perfectly. It's okay. It doesn't mean it's broken forever. It'll likely come back. Don't catastrophize. And crucially, men often keep this anxiety bottled up. They don't talk about it, which just makes it fester. Being kinder to yourself, maybe even talking about it, can break that cycle.
Right. Okay, we made it. Number 10. The one with the surprise. The famous phrase, use it or lose it, but with a twist. Sort of.
Yeah, sort of is the key. So, the saying, is it true? Well, one way people stop using it is maybe because of ED already, or embarrassment, or relationship problems. That's one aspect.
But the real kicker, the physiological part, was about nighttime erections, right? That was the surprise for me.
Exactly. That's the core of the sort of. Normally, men have, 3 to 5 erections while sleeping every night? Involuntarily.
And these aren't just random.
No. The video explained it's the body's maintenance system. It's pumping good oxygenated blood through the tissue, keeping it healthy, like exercise for the penis, basically.
So if those nighttime erections stop happening regularly, that's the lose it part.
That seems to be the implication, yes. The source suggested that without that regular overnight oxygenation, you could see potential shrinkage over time. The tissue might feel different, maybe even develop scar tissue. So yeah, lack of nighttime erections could be linked to losing size or tissue health.
Wow. So it's less about conscious use and more about this unconscious maintenance process. That is a nuance I hadn't heard.
They also touched on low sex drive could be stress, hormones, whatever. If that leads to avoiding sex for a long time, your body might kind of downregulate. Like the drive might decrease even more because it's not being used.
Which might be fine for some people, but tricky in a relationship where intimacy matters.
Right. And the urologist finished by saying, look, sex and intimacy are valuable at any age. It takes effort, communication, but it has tons of benefits. They even mentioned another video they did on how sex might literally save your life.
Okay, what a deep dive. Seriously, we went from plumbing emergencies and DIY warnings.
All the way to psychological loops, chronic stress, and the body's own overnight upkeep routine.
It really hammers home that looking after this one part of your body isn't isolated at all.
Not even close. It's tied into everything. Physical health, mental health, habits, relationships.
And this source, that urologist video, did a great job laying out clear, actionable stuff, but also highlighting those bigger connections. Like ED and heart attacks, that's a huge one.
Definitely gives you a more holistic way to think about health.
So hopefully this gives you, our listener, some useful tools, things to be aware of, maybe ways to take better care of yourself that you hadn't fully considered.
Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. So let's leave you with a final thought to chew on based on all this. If penile health is so deeply linked to big things like cardiovascular health and overall wellness, what other health issues, maybe ones that seem localized or specific to one body part, might actually be signals about deeper system-wide things that need your attention? Something to think about.